Porsche is seriously considering a Formula 1 engine program, and a decision on whether it will join the grid in 2026 is expected very soon. F1 hopes automotive powerhouse the Volkswagen Group will commit to the series for its new engine formula in 2026 with its two leading motorsport brands Porsche and Audi through a likely engine tie-up with Red Bull's new Powertrains division. The decision will be based on F1's technical roadmap and cost control plans, with Porsche making clear its interest is real, but it has some clear demands attached. While we crack on with explaining the latest developments in this potentially huge story for F1, let us know if you're excited by the prospect of a new major manufacturer joining the grid, or if you think this will end up just being another case of the VW Group appearing interested in F1 but not following through with it. New Porsche Motorsport Managing Director Thomas Laudenbach has said it is not a secret we are seriously considering an F1 program. But increased commitment to electrification from F1 is one of the key things Porsche needs to see in order to consider F1 worthwhile. Porsche's main international programs in recent years have been the all-electric Formula E series and its LMP1 car, the 919 Hybrid, which had a huge electrical energy focus. F1 has used V6 turbo hybrids since 2014, but the electrical component only contributes around 20% to the total power output. And the tech centerpiece of these power units is the complicated MGU-H. It's a tremendously clever piece of engineering that harvests wasted heat energy, is at the center of the energy recovery system, and is what has allowed F1 to achieve unprecedented levels of thermal efficiency. But it serves no real-world purpose as it cannot be transferred to production vehicles, so its position as a road-relevant piece of tech is weak. F1 and governing body the FIA are planning a new engine formula in 2026 with increased electrical output from a simplified hybrid power unit without an MGU-H element. Laudenbach has said the FIA has made a huge step towards keeping F1 road-relevant. He said, "It's very important that Formula 1 does a shift towards electrification. It's clear that you can't do such a format with a battery electric vehicle, we all know that. But I think there needs to be a much higher priority of the electric part of the powertrain. As an OEM, you want to show yourself in motorsport. It needs to be relevant to what happens on the road. The FIA has made a huge step towards that direction, so that's going to help." Porsche's second priority is that F1 changes its engine rules sufficiently so that it would not be significantly behind the other manufacturers. F1's power units have not undergone major spec changes since 2014, so without an overhaul, a new manufacturer in 2026 would have a 15-year knowledge deficit to make up, given the other manufacturers were preparing for the 2014 changes years in advance. Laudenbach has acknowledged that and stated that it would make life very hard to join a championship with a set of rules in place for many years already. He said that didn't just apply to Porsche, claiming that anyone who thinks about entering F1 should always combine that with a major change in the rules so that everybody has got to make a step and you are not the only one that has to. Porsche's third requirement will sound a lot more familiar. It wants the expense under control. To achieve that, Porsche wants more standard parts in the engine to reduce the freedom in the engine and increase the freedom of the electric part. Laudenbach has admitted that F1 compares extremely well to other categories in terms of PR value, advertising value, and total fan base. But he countered, at the same time you have to spend a lot of money. So I think another point is that cost control is in place. Probably the most important thing that I would say for a car manufacturer that needs to be fulfilled is that it really makes sense to enter. So that's what Porsche wants. Before we get on to explaining how F1 can make those things happen, we just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who has subscribed to our channel so far. Your support means a lot and is a great motivator for us to keep making as many videos for you as we can. If you're not already a subscriber but you like what you see here, consider hitting that button and chiming the notifications bell so you'll never miss another video from us. It also means you'll be more likely to see posts from our community section of our channel where we share fan polls, interesting images and details of major news stories breaking in F1. It's a great way to keep up with what we do beyond the videos we release. As Laudenbach hinted at, increased electrification appears to be the easiest demand to meet. F1 wants to retain the hybrid element as a key part of the 2026 engine's infrastructure. Its plan to do that without the MGU-H is to increase the power output from the MGU-K from 120 kilowatts to potentially 350 kilowatts. This will likely have knock-on impacts for battery demands as well in order to power the uprated MGU-K, and it will come with other challenges. Energy recovery will likely be restricted to the rear axle, which will be a significant engineering task, and F1 is believed to be exploring various technical avenues that could help balance this under braking, such as active aerodynamics. There will also be a drivability issue. Losing the MGU-H means dropping what is effectively a sophisticated anti-lag system for the turbocharger, plus it's being replaced by increased power from the MGU-K. If all parties can agree on how to blend all this together, it will satisfy the second of Porsche's demands. Eliminating the MGU-H would wipe out a large part of the existing manufacturer's advantage because it would require an all-new power unit design. So Porsche would get its wish of every manufacturer needing to tackle a major project. That's also why Mercedes has balked at suggestions a Red Bull VW project should be entitled to some development concessions as a new manufacturer to help them catch up. Before it agrees to dropping the MGU-H and helping bring in Porsche and Audi, Mercedes wants assurances any joint engine program with Red Bull isn't going to get a massive helping hand at the same time. Where Porsche will find favour easily enough is its demand to manage costs. Getting rid of the MGU-H should help make F1's power units cheaper, but this alone is unlikely to be enough. An engine cost cap is almost certain to be imposed, though there is still some disagreement on how much spending should be allowed. But at this point, it's worth pointing out that Porsche, and Audi for that matter, are already looking at a massively cut-price F1 program. This wouldn't be a completely standalone start-from-scratch F1 engine. We've mentioned a couple of times now how it would be linked with Red Bull's new in-house engine program. The basic point to understand about that collaboration is that it allows the companies to share the financial burden of developing an F1 engine as well as the technology required to do so. And if you want more background on that, check out the video we made about it earlier this year. It was initially thought that a VW Group commitment to F1 would at best result in it choosing between Porsche or Audi joining the grid. Both have been present for the talks so far, but this has happened before and still led to nothing in the end. Previously, Porsche has gone as far as building a test version of a hybrid F1 engine and still never went through with a commitment. So there could rightly be concern that the VW Group could hold F1 to ransom and force it to change to exactly what it wants. But Laudenbach insisted this situation is different, hinting that Porsche's interest could finally result in a real entry. He said a lot of things are going in the right direction concerning Formula 1. Many of the factors, from what we know, might become true. This is something that makes it far more interesting for us than in the past years. It's therefore possible that both brands could enter F1, even though Porsche and Audi will each return to the Le Mans 24 Hours in 2023 in the LMDH category, and Porsche is still racing in Formula E until at least 2024. But this would all be possible thanks to the planned Red Bull tie-up massively reducing the expense of an F1 program, as Porsche and Audi could then take on partnerships with different teams. Obviously Red Bull will be one, but the other could be one of the existing Mercedes-powered teams, most likely McLaren. We understand the decisive call could be made at a board meeting at the end of November and will almost certainly be known publicly by the end of this year. Laudenbach said, "One thing is clear, if such a decision is made, you can't wait too long, because if you want to race in 2025 or 2026, you have to start at a certain time." That's the latest on the VW Group's current flirtation with F1. Now you're up to speed, let us know in the comments if you think we'll see Porsche or Audi join the grid in the future and which teams you'd like to see them partner up with. And remember to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed our explanation and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already so we can see you again very soon.